everyone learns languages in a different way. And I think that people have a tendency to say that this one approach makes you fluent. That's not true. It's not possible. I think that there are so many ways to approach learning a language. You just have to find something that you're interested in and something that keeps you motivated on the way. Ciao y'all, NaturallyKenya here, and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about learning a language as an adult with responsibilities. We are no longer children. We have things to do. We have places to go. We have people to see. So as an American who has been living in Italy, particularly Rome, for the last 7+ years, I have some tips I wanted to share with you guys. So if you're interested in that, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I upload. So guys, who am I? Who am I? That's a good question. I feel like it evolves day by day. No, I'm kidding. But I am Kenya, yes, like the country, and I'm an American girl sharing my experiences while living my life abroad in Rome, Italy. And this video is going to be very, very kind of helpful. I want to share my tips for you guys on how I have helped myself settle in over these last 7.5+ years in Rome. So I have my notes here so I don't miss anything. And I want to start with a bit of background about myself and my Italian journey, let's say. So I actually started learning Italian from books when I was 9 years old. I heard A Beautiful Language on TV and I was like, what is that? And it was Italian. And so I literally would read all the books I possibly could. I was watching movies. I was doing anything I possibly could to try to get closer to that language. Even in Spanish class in high school, I was bringing an Italian book because I was determined to get out of there, get out of the States and go live my Italian life. So, it's interesting how just one moment in my life really changed my entire life projection and my journey here, even living in Rome. Like, can you believe that just from me hearing a language? Wild. But it is kind of a roller coaster to learn a language. It's not very simple when you really dive deep. You're like, there's always something new to learn. There's always something there. So when I talk about fluency, it's going to be the moment where you feel comfortable. That's going to be different for everyone. But I want to capitalize on the fact that fluency to me is when you are comfortable in a language, you can express yourself. You may have to think, but it's not something that's going to prevent you from really being able to get out there and talk to the locals, right? And that's important. So if you want to be that kind of girl or that kind of guy, sorry. If you're going to be that kind of person, then stick around because I'm going to give you a lot of tips that will help you on your language learning journey. So I'm one of these people where I need to understand why is this important in my life, right? Like, why is it so important to learn a language? I need to unpack it. Like, why? Why do I have to? Because I feel like if you don't reflect on the why, you don't get very far, right? And I think that for me, language learning is really, really important for personal development, period. It really goes beyond the ability to just express yourself. It gives you the skills to be adaptable. It gives you skills to maybe be more sensitive to another culture. It just gives you so much more than just like, okay, I learned it and that's it. No. But that being said, it doesn't come without its challenges, right? There's so many challenges, a lot of the time being time, energy, effort. Like you're just tired after a long day, no? Like you just want to go to sleep. But we're not going to do that. We're going to incorporate a few tips for learning a language into your daily life that will make approaching learning a language that much easier. So I personally schedule time in advance on my calendar, little blocks on my Google Calendar to be only for language learning, period. That's it. You block it on the calendar and you have to find time. You have to integrate a language into your daily routine. You have to. There's no way around it. If you stop, you lose the progress that you've already made. So I personally set my calendar up 1 week in advance, at least preferably 2 weeks in advance, with just blocks of time that I use to focus on the language. I also schedule any lessons, private lessons or group lessons that I'll take during that time as well to make sure they get on my calendar, and it gives me a reason to have no excuses, period. If you find an excuse, you will go around the problem. But if you pay non-refundable, for example, or you block a time of your calendar, Only for that, you can't move it. Period. You can't move it. So it'll give you more encouragement to continue with the language learning process. Also, you really have to reflect on that confidence you feel when you make that sentence, when you express yourself positively and you express in the right words. No? You also have to think about how a language really opens the doors for your communication in the new community that you're living in. No? If you decide to go live abroad like me, it really gives you a totally different experience. You can approach locals. You can say what your interests are. They can tell you where to go eat, where to go, out dancing. Who knows? It's just like these small elements that elevate your life a lot whenever you live in a country or you want to go live in another country abroad. It's like when you attend social events and you can express yourself, it becomes that much more fun, no? Whenever you can talk to people there. So overcoming those language barriers are really like a transformative journey, and it's just a small step in the right direction. It's very, very slow, but it's worth it. The reason why it's slow is because the progress can stick if you put in the effort. Another strategy and tip I would give you is that it's better to have these micro learning calendar blocks, and they can be even as small as 15 minutes a day. They don't have to be 2-3 hours a day. I would argue that sometimes it's probably better that you approach it in shorter time periods and shorter time blocks. No, I would argue that quality is better over quantity, in my opinion. If you can have a short focus session versus, a session where your ideas are all over the place for 3 hours, it would be better. You just have to really concentrate. And sometimes I find myself setting like a Pomodoro timer. That's a timer where you have like 25 minutes on focusing, 5 minutes off, just to find out what works for you so you can dedicate sessions to really, really focusing on a language. Maybe you set a language session over your lunch break so you can focus on the language then if you have a very, very busy, hectic work schedule. But just make sure to set boundaries so people know, like, hey, this is the time that I need for my language learning journey. I think that's really important. You have to prioritize it, and you have to let other people around you know that it's a priority for you. Another thing I think that is super important is incorporating a language into your everyday life. So you could label your household items with some post-it notes. You could start thinking in your target language during the commute, listen to audiobooks, read books. You could even journal in the language that you're interested in studying in. And for me, that's something that's been really, really great on my journey. Read the news, listen to the news. If you're an active type and you go to the gym or you like to do fitness classes, try to find some video on YouTube, or if you can or you're already living in the country, go find a class with an instructor that speaks that language. Next thing you'll know, you'll have all of the vocabulary to be a personal trainer yourself. Watch TV shows or movies in your target language with subtitles. Follow locals on social media. I think that's the best part of being really connected in the world that we live in today, is that you have the ability to follow people that speak your language, that joke about things in their foreign language that you're trying to learn. I think it's fun. It makes it more exciting and interesting than just, sitting down to read a book only. Also, another element I think can be really fun is learn to cook some of the traditional food. Make it fun, make it a date night, make it a solo date night. Who cares? But just get out there and try to learn to the best of your ability how the locals do it. So you can impress someone down the line with your skills. Also, one of the first things I did when I came to Italy was putting my grocery shopping list in Italian so I could learn the names of the food, fruits, vegetables, everything in that target language. And literally in 2 trips to the supermarket, I already knew what all of those words were. And it made it that much more satisfying when I'm able to shop and ask, where's this, where's that? It's something easy that I can approach now with no energy, no effort. Another element I'd encourage you to do is utilize language learning applications. I personally have always been a flashcard girl, so I have used Quizlet my entire life since the beginning of time to create flashcards that actually will pronounce the word in the target language. So you can play games, you can do example written multiple choice exams. They have so many interesting elements you can incorporate to use on your language learning journey. I also like an app called Speakly. Also, if you have a busy schedule with your family, you could incorporate some language learning into the family time too. Turn on a movie, put on the audio and the subtitles in the language that you want to learn. It's really simple nowadays with so much technology. There's really no excuse, and sometimes you can sit there with the notebook. That's what I used to do in the past for Italian, is that I would watch some movie or TV show in Italian. I would be first starting with English audio and Italian subtitles at first. That's how I first started off. And anytime I would see a word I didn't know in the captions, I would then write it in Italian and then come back and translate it later. And it would help me stick new words in my brain. Then when I got really good and I could understand more by listening, like through listening skills, I didn't have difficulty. I would do audio and then subtitles into Italian. But one of the most important elements is really when you are not immersed in the country or immersed in the culture, it becomes more difficult. So you have to eliminate those roadblocks. I do believe that if you don't try every day, you're really taking a step back in the wrong direction. And I feel like that's less useful. No, like every second that you've worked so hard to improve in a language, you can't just let that go to waste. So consistency is key. But while we're maintaining our consistent schedule, we also need to be realistic. If you know you have a busy work life, you know your family life takes up a lot of time, then just be realistic when you're setting those time blocks on your calendar. I do think that we all have 15 minutes in our day, just 15 minutes to either listen to a podcast or read a few pages in a book in your target language. You have 15 minutes in the day. You just need to find it and prioritize it. Put on the calendar and then try not to make excuses. And also, I would argue that instead of aiming to reach fluency in a short amount of time that may not be sustainable, it could be better to slowly build a good foundation over months and years so that the language sticks. There's a lot of time where you lose what you don't use, right? And so if you continue to review those flashcards, you continue to review the vocabulary already completed and kind of cataloged in your memory, it could help you in the long term. So I think instead of approaching it with stress, saying, hey, I'm going to get fluent in 30 days, for example, which is very, very difficult to do. And I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's very, very difficult unless that's like your full-time job in that sense, like all day and all night. I think it's not really realistic. So take shorter, more digestible goals by month and then see where you get and then reflect and review on those. I personally feel that multitasking is the name of the game. And with audiobooks and podcasts, you can really press play at any portion of your commute, any portion of you getting dressed in the morning. You just hit play and you just gotta, integrate into your everyday life so it starts becoming a routine. Also, there's so many online communities. Maybe you can join ours here to kind of share tips and tricks on how to learn a language. I think it's really important that you find other like-minded people that are interested in learning your target language as well. It helps on the journey because you have an accountability partner and you can kind of play off of each other when it comes to someone's motivation, kind of weaning, and another one kind of, feeling excited and planning a trip to Italy, for example, to speak Italian. I think it's always important to look to the future. So if you're feeling unmotivated and you can, maybe book a trip to reignite that fire. Maybe plan a lesson with a local teacher online if you can't go to the country. Find a new song and translate the lyrics and then sing it in the car on the commute in the morning. Like there's so many ways to integrate language learning into your everyday life. You just have to find where you're going to put it. You have the time. You have at least 15 minutes every day. You just have to find out what's going to work for you. Of course, it's really important that you find your approach to the language. These are just tips that I have that have helped me on my language learning journey, but it's important that you find your own elements that work for your schedule, that work for your mindset, that work for things that you're interested in. Everyone learns languages in a different way, and I think that people have a tendency to say that this one approach makes you fluent. That's not true. It's not possible. I think that there are so many ways to approach learning a language. You just have to find something that you're interested in and something that keeps you motivated on the way. So guys, I encourage you to share your tips on how you have learned a language in the comment section below. We are a good community here that likes to support each other. So if anything, we're going to make sure that everybody has all the details to be the best version of themselves and be the person that can speak a language fluently. So let me know, guys, what has really helped you learning your target language in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload. And I will see you guys in the next video. Ciao, y'all.